Ken Block built a new language of precision on wheels. Rally stages, Gymkhana films, and hill climbs were all part of one long experiment. By 2010, he was juggling a World Rally Championship program, American rallies, and wildcard projects like the Pikes Peak Hoonicorn run. Each one pushed him into faster roads, harsher consequences, and tighter margins. This breakdown follows that path, step by step, to see how he turned chaos into control and why his approach still shapes how drivers attack the limit. El Toro Airfield is where the experiment starts to become a method. Empty concrete, painted lines, and cones give Ken Block something new, a blank page he can rewrite as often as he wants. There is no crowd, no championship on the line, only time and repetition. Here he learns how close a bumper can pass to an obstacle without touching it, and how much speed he can carry while still stopping exactly on a mark. Every run ends with notes on grip, tire wear, and how the car reacts when it is pushed a little deeper. The playfulness of early Gymkhana clips hides that work. Behind each smooth slide is a catalog of tries, misses, and small corrections. El Toro is where he proves to himself that precision can be built like a muscle. When he leaves this airfield, he carries more than a highlight reel. He carries a system he will apply to every new course he designs later. In Missouri's 100-acre Wood, control is tested at real rally speed. There are no cones to move and no second takes. Trees sit close to the road, and frost or gravel can erase grip without warning. Fatigue builds through long days, but the pace must stay high. Ken leans on pace notes, commits earlier, and keeps a narrow safety margin that still feels fast. Stage by stage, he proves that discipline from practice can survive the chaos of forest rallying. At the X Games in Los Angeles, Rallycross squeezes everything into a few frantic laps. Contact is expected. Jumps, joker laps, and concrete walls leave little room for error. The stakes are simple. Survive the start, stay clear of damage, finish in front. Here, Ken has to mix patience with aggression. He needs launches sharp enough to claim space into turn one, yet calm enough to avoid pointless hits. Between heats, the crew resets the car and the plan. Each race sharpens his sense of when to risk and when to wait. The World Rally Championship in 2010 pushes Ken into a different arena. Factory teams have decades of data. Stages stretch over mountains and through villages he has never seen at speed. The clock does not care that he is still learning every crest and cut. Here the goal shifts from pure show to survival with progress. He learns when to back off rather than chase a split that feels wrong, and how to use each loop to improve notes instead of only chasing time. These seasons teach him that patience, information, and finishing power future projects better than one lucky stage win. San Francisco turns Gymkhana into a city playground. Steep streets and changing surfaces force Ken to rethink timing and speed. Elevation is no longer a backdrop. It decides how weight shifts and how much grip remains. Each run needs a fresh mental map. He predicts how the car will land, where power will break traction, and how close he can run to edges without losing momentum. The city teaches him to combine creativity with respect for gravity and consequence. With Gymkhana 7, Los Angeles meets the Hoonicorn, a car built to overwhelm. Power and grip arrive in a surge. Wide streets allow bigger angles and longer slides, but the punishment for a mistake rises with speed. Ken has to trust the setup and commit earlier than before. There is no easy way to catch this car once it starts to go wrong. He studies how boost builds, how the tires bite, and where to trade safety margin for speed. The control looks wild but comes from strict limits. Dubai brings another kind of challenge. Wide highways and mixed grip surfaces throw heat and speed into the equation. Tires and brakes work harder with every pass, and car temperature becomes as important as layout. Ken has to shorten drifts and clean up lines to protect the equipment while still delivering pace. Each segment teaches how long he can stay sideways before the tires fade, and how quickly he must reset for the next feature. It turns into a lesson in managing resources, not just chasing style. Pikes Peak turns that search for control into something sharper. The road clings to a mountain, with drop-offs that leave no room for big mistakes. Altitude robs the engine and the driver at the same time, thinning power and focus. In Gymkhana, Ken pushes the Hoonicorn up this hill with huge power but limited oxygen. He has to plan each slide so it fits between guardrails, cliffs, and changing grip. Breathing, vision, and throttle timing all need to stay ahead of the car. Each corner is a choice between leaving margin and reaching for something new near the clouds. Gymkhana 10 spreads the challenge across snow, small towns, and industrial yards. Different cars, different surfaces, same demand for control. Travel days become moving workshops where Ken resets his habits for each new platform. Before a serious take, he checks how the pedals feel, how the handbrake bites, and how the car reacts to a simple change of direction. Short test runs feed a mental checklist he carries into the main line. The project is not just about bigger stunts, it is about showing that his process can lift, move, and land in a new place, then repeat at full speed. Global Rallycross around 2014 and World Rallycross in 2016 compress Ken's skills into tight, mixed surface sprint races. Instead of long stages, he faces short heats where one bad start or broken part can end the day. Jumps, joker laps, and heavy traffic turn every corner into both attack and defense. On some tracks, asphalt leads straight into loose dirt mid-corner, forcing him to feel when the car will slide and when it will bite again. Brake balance, line choice, and body contact all matter at once. Ruts appear, grip shifts, and rivals change tactics from lap to lap. Ken learns to adjust entries by a wheel's width, protect the inside when it counts, and still leave room to rotate. These seasons sharpen his racecraft, teaching him how to fight for position without losing the calm he needs to finish. The Cossie World Tour brings a rebuilt Ford Escort Cosworth back into the spotlight. This is not a modern race car. It has history, quirks, and limits that need respect. Festivals and rallies ask it to perform on tarmac, gravel, and tight streets near spectators. Ken treats the car like a partner to preserve. He keeps revs down and plans braking so the hardware survives each run. The mission shifts from pure speed to finishing strong, stage after stage. Managing an older chassis at commitment, he proves that style and care can share the same road. Terrakhana in Utah trades city structure for open desert shapes. Ridges, ledges, and deep dust hide the true line until late. There are few clear reference points, only horizon and instinct. Ken reads shadows, wind, and the way dust hangs in the air to guess where grip might be. He keeps jumps shorter than they look, saving the car from hard landings, and uses long slides to link features without sudden hits. This environment forces him to trust feel more than paint, and rewards flow over tight precision. When Ken returns to Gymkhana with Subaru in 2020, the project feels both familiar and new. The car is a WRX STI, but the demands of the shoot and the expectations of the audience have grown. Every move now lives next to a decade of viral runs. He has to learn how this chassis wants to rotate, how much throttle it needs to stay on boost without washing wide, and where its weight helps or hurts. Test runs turn into small experiments in balance and traction. The goal is not to copy an old sequence, but to design lines that fit this car's strengths. By the time cameras roll for real, the wild moments are supported by hours of quiet adjustment. Away from big locations and bright liveries, test days carry much of the real work. Places like Adams Motorsports Park become labs where laps blur together and cameras barely matter. Here Ken focuses on details that never make a thumbnail: pedal feel, steering weight, and how the car reacts to small changes. He uses short runs to try different lines, braking points and left foot pressure, feeling how the chassis settles when he balances throttle and brake together. Between outings, the team checks tire wear, temperatures, and notes from the previous pass. Only one variable changes at a time, so cause and effect stay clear. These quiet sessions build the confidence seen later. By the time a project goes live, many of the hardest questions have already been answered in places like this. Snow and ice bring yet another language of grip. Scandinavian-style segments in projects like Gymkhana 10 demand earlier, lighter inputs and a new respect for momentum. On these surfaces, spinning the wheels is easy, slowing down is not. Ken leans on smooth weight transfer instead of sharp steering, and uses small throttle changes to catch slides before they grow. The reward is a flow where the car seems to float, guided more by planning than by pure power. Tight urban donuts around posts and poles look simple but are brutal to execute. The car must circle on the edge of grip while staying almost fixed in place. Ken uses these moments to test balance at the limit. He holds a small slip and feeds just enough power to keep the rear rotating. Too much and the circle drifts outward, too little and the car straightens. When it works, each rotation feels like a held breath. After his passing, tributes and livery homages appeared across rally, drift, and street events worldwide. Cars carried his colors and number blocks, but also pieces of his method. Organizers built layouts that reward precision, not just smoke or noise. Drivers who grew up watching Gymkhana began to sketch obstacle maps with his approach in mind. They planned tighter gaps, linked features into longer sequences, and left space to recover after mistakes. Ken's influence moved beyond one driver. It became a shared language for how to design and attack technical courses. Seen as one story, Ken Block's career is a climb in difficulty and control. Airfields and small lots grow into cities, mountains, and world stages. Each new project adds speed and risk, but the approach stays steady. He breaks big challenges into pieces, tests them, and then joins them into long runs. Practice days and small adjustments make the wild shots possible. Fear never fully leaves the picture. It is managed by preparation and respect for consequences. Tribute cars and new projects extend that mindset and process, where precision is earned one run at a time.